the school feeding program.
Yeah.
And the caterers on the program are complaining, lamenting bitterly about arrears not being paid. Their monies are in debt. They are not in debt from, say, maybe suppliers of products or anything, but from government. And in that case, it is affecting rather the children, because the food being given to them is inadequate, or better still, not enough. It's not supposed to be the appropriate portions that are given to them. And more so, when I watched the video yesterday and even this morning, I was sad, because looking at the quantity of food, the fact that there's no protein on it, and we are preaching nutrition. We are talking about children having healthy food. And looking at the price hike of food items now, especially tomato, pepper, which plays very essential roles in these meals.
Do you know that there's supposed to be an amount of 1 Ghana cedi, 50 pesos per child?
That's even the deal breaker for me.
No, wait, let me say. So 1 Ghana cedi, 50 pesos. You know, I think about it, and the more I think about it, the more insane the whole idea seems to me. Now, you can argue that if you're doing it in bulk, you can argue that if you're doing it en masse, right, it may work out, it will work out to be cheaper. And it's true, it will work out to be cheaper. But truly, per head, how much does it cost to feed one person? Just a meal a day, okay? How healthy is the meal? What goes into the meal? I do not believe for one moment that it is possible to truly feed somebody, a child, healthily, nutritiously, for 1 Ghana cedi, 50 pesos. It's not possible, not in Ghana.
Well, how much is a bowl of kinky?
It's now 4 cedis.
How much is cocoa?
That's a small bowl.
How much is porridge? How much do we sell porridge? Do we sell porridge for 1 cedi?
I haven't bought cocoa in a while.
Anyway, the last time I bought porridge was last Saturday.
Okay.
And the least that was being sold was 3 Ghana cedis. That's porridge with sugar.
So that's twice what is their official allotment?
Yes.
Okay, per student.
And that's supposed to be maybe for breakfast. And I'm an adult. You know, children have high appetites. They eat some of them really actually eat a lot. So if you're allocating funds as little as 1 cedi, 50 pesos, and taxes are even being deducted out of these monies, and they are left with 1 cedi, 35 pesos. How is someone supposed to feed a child with 1 cedi, 35 pesos, and you expect that they are happy with it, and the money is not even coming?
You know, we will delve into some conversations, you know, after this, but let's take a look at this report brought to us by colleague Kate Woodenya on school feeding. We'll be back.
The Ghana School Feeding Program, launched in 2015, primarily aims to alleviate short-term hunger and malnutrition among kindergarten and primary school children attending public schools. A key component of the program involves recruiting caterers to provide regular meals for pupils nationwide, enhancing food security and reducing hunger. However, the program's implementation faces significant challenges. Caterers must finance their expenses upfront while awaiting government reimbursement. Despite repeated pleas from these caterers for increased funds, their efforts seem fruitless. Not only has government failed to raise their allocations, but payment delays have further hindered their operations. Some of these caterers have spoken to ChannelOne News.
It's very difficult because payments are not on time. The promise was that you've pre-financed. So every term we are paid before the term starts. But now it's the 3rd term and we haven't seen anything at all. Some people haven't been paid since COVID, you know. But we are trying. For instance, I try because my headmistress, if I do not come, she will call and beg. She sometimes asks me to come and collect money from her to do the cooking. That is why I have reduced the quantity of food. I give it to the children, but it used to be maybe 3 or 4 times more. But now it's so tiny. Sometimes I even feel bad when I put it on the plate.
It's not been an easy journey. We are all in Ghana. We know how the market is. Everything is on the high price. and working for close to a year and your payments wouldn't come, we all can see it's very challenging.
How are you coping with the situation?
We have been managing, but I think for now it's not easy. So some caterers, others are cooking, others too are not, because no one would like to do business, will pump in money into business, and the returns will not be coming, and you will still be investing in it.
The caterers also expressed deep regrets over their involvement in the program, citing a perceived lack of responsiveness from authorities regarding their grievances.
All your money is locked up somewhere. It never comes, and you can't live the way you want to live. You know, when it's Christmas, there's no money for Christmas. We've got children, we've got grandchildren to take care of. And we are already in the soup.
On the field, we are happy doing the work, but when it comes to payment, we always regret doing it. We always regret getting ourselves involved with the school feeding program.
Juliana Kujo, president of the Greater Accra School Feed and Caterers Association, conveyed frustration over ongoing payment delays, despite officials' assurances of expediting the process.
Last month, I spoke with the minister and led me to the national coordinator, which I did. I spoke with her. And she said they are expecting some funds from the president. She don't want to pay half and leave half. So they are expecting some funds so that to pay all the 16 reasons. Up to now, we didn't hear anything from them again. There are rumors today they are going to pay. Next week they are going to pay. So me, this time I told my people, my caterers, that me and Julie are not going to make any press conference. I'm not going to make any demonstration. This caterers school feeding problems, I'm tired of it.
In a bold suggestion, Madam Kujo proposed that government appointees consider foregoing 3 months' pay to help settle the outstanding dues owed to school feed and caterers, underscoring the urgency of the situation.
The ministers, they should sacrifice their 3 months' pay to the president so that the president will add these funds to the school feeding. We want their 3 months pay. They should sacrifice. And the MMCs and the CEO, all government appointees that they are enjoying, they should sacrifice.
Meanwhile, all attempts to get the Ministry of Gender or the School Feeding Secretariat to comment have proven futile.
Although the caterers have been paid some of the arrears, they bemoan the government's failure to pay for all 3 terms. They explain that they were expecting to receive payment for 3 academic terms at 1 cedi 50 pesos per child, but have received payment for only 1 academic term, and the monies reflected show that they were paid 1 cedi 15 pesos per child, contrary to what had been agreed upon. The caterers, who are accusing the gender minister, Dakwa Newman, of treating them unfairly, say she's deliberately making deductions without proper explanation. Dorothy Oforisapon is the Ashanti Regional Secretary for the Progressive School Feeding Caterers Association of Ghana.
You said it on national television that government approved 1 cedi 50 pesos. And so they are going to make payments. And so the caterers, we are expecting 1 cedi 50 pesos. They even promised that they are not going to deduct any tax. They deducted the 5 pesos from it, making it 1 cedi 15 pesos. And so we are saying that we need that 35 pesos before the end of next week. And then some of them too, their payments didn't come. Some of them too, underpayment. If the person is expecting of 40,000, it came 18,000, some 20,000. And so where is the rest?
They are thus urging the government to ensure they are paid what has been promised to them, or they will refuse to cook in the next academic year.
Yes, we've realized that the gender is not taking us serious. And what we are going to tell them is that, or what we are telling them is that, if they don't take us serious, we will not also take them serious. And this year, if they don't pay everything for us and whatever we are demanding, we also tell them that we are not going to cook and nobody will cook.
Although unhappy the government's failure to step up efforts in addressing their concerns, they are also appealing to the government to consider the vulnerable who depend heavily on the food.
They should help the children in Ghana because the school feeding helped the kids a lot. Some of the kids come to school without even money. So what I'm saying to the president is that we are pleading with him on behalf of the kids. 1 CD 50 pesos is not enough. And we are trying. We are trying. It's like even 3 CDs is not enough for the kids.
All right, so you've seen there, 2 different reports that were brought to us by our correspondents, and they really highlight the challenges that this school feeding program is experiencing. Many questions come to mind as I was watching this, and I'm sure some of you had, similar questions as well. The whole idea of the intervention was to make sure that all children of school-going age, primary school level, JHS level, will be going to school. Not having food shouldn't be a hindrance. Not having a meal shouldn't be a hindrance to go to school. Making sure that at least they get a nutritious meal a day. Of course, because it helps their their brain development, which helps them in their performance at school and so on and so forth. So it's a very important intervention. However, it seems to be fraught with challenges. Jiva, but as we were speaking earlier, it's real. The other day, I had my own personal experience of buying tomatoes, 8 for 40 Ghana cedis. Now, granted, it's supposed to be a seasonal challenge, right? And so when the season is, tomato season is in, the prices will drop drastically. Right. But the season doesn't, the school feeding doesn't wait for seasons, so they will experience the challenges as we are experiencing the challenges, right? Now, I still think that 1 Ghana cedi 50 pesos is way too small. That's my opinion, based on my own experience, and living experience. Children eat a lot. Children need a lot, and nutritious food also costs. You see, so that's one. Then the issue of not paying the people, that you're owing. You see, and I think government needs to figure out a proper solution, a comprehensive solution. And then there were stories that we've carried ourselves where one set of school feeding caterers were abandoned, with a new set of school feeding caterers being hired and giving the work to do. We need to figure out, this thing and get to the bottom of it and make sure that we do right by all persons that are involved. We've had joining us on the line, Divine Pe. He is the Senior Programs Manager at Africa Education Watch, to give us some perspectives on what's happening. Divine, good morning and welcome once again to Breakfast Daily.
Yeah, good morning, David. Thanks for having me.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, David. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning once again. Welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Good morning and thanks for having me.
All right. Yeah, so I'm sure because you're in the space, this is something that you probably come across. It's not a recent happening. What is Africa Education Watch's perspective on what's going on, first of all?
In respect of the feeding, right?
Yes, in respect of the school feeding.
No, okay. This has been an issue since the inception of the Frisna High School in 2017. And we have heard of reports, and we have also seen of instances where food is inadequate in the school, and the quality of food being served in some of the schools also raises concern. In short, there have been issues of food security in the senior high school since the inception of the senior high school program of policy. And there have been sort of all levels of ideas on how to address the issue. But you will not be able to address it if you don't know where the problem is coming from. we realize that it is mostly about, not even mostly, it is the only problem about feeding in our senior high school is about money issue, money to run the program.
Okay.
You know, if there's money, food would have been adequate and food that would be distributed or given to the schools on time, and then the schools would have fed their students also on time or in good quantity, and of course the quality would have also improved. If you look at the pre-senior high school budget, 70% of the budget is about feeding. The entire pre-senior high school cost, 70% actually goes into feeding, and then 30% actually goes to administrative staff. And if you have 70% of the money going into feeding, but you do not have money to give to the schools or to the Ministry of Education to procure food, then definitely we'll have these challenges reoccurring over and over.
Yeah.
If you look at the ministry's budget credibility for the pre-senior high school program, it has been declining over the years. The budget credibility simply is looking at what government projects in the budget and annual budgets to be allocated to the implementation of the policy. What actually is released to the Ministry of Education at the end of the academic year. So if government projects to spend an amount of X on the pre-senior high school, and that is stated in the budget, at the end of the academic year, you ask yourself, is it the X amount or the X amount has been allocated or dispatched to the ministry? If there's a disparity in that, then it means that there is no way the program can effectively function. And you have this issue of food challenges in our senior high school. Let's just run through the budget credibility just to make my point. The only time we see the pre-senior high school exceeding the amount allocated to it in the budget was in 2017. Government actually allocated 400 million Ghana cedis to the policy implementation, but at the end of the academic year, the government spent 480 million. So there was 20% stretch or overspending by 20%. That was okay. But beyond that 2017, although the number kept increasing, enrollment kept increasing, government's budget credibility has been declining. In 2018-2019 academic year, government projected to spend 1,137,000 Ghana cedis, while government made available 1,130,000 Ghana cedis. And there was a shortfall of 1%. Budget credibility was 99%. That was almost 100%, so it's okay. But beyond that, in 2019-2020, budget credibility was 76%. It means that it was only 76% of what government projected to the policy was made available. In 2020-2021 academic year, it declined to 58%, meaning 42% of the money government projected to allocate to the policy, government didn't make it available. In nominal terms, government allocated 2.4 billion Ghana cedis, and what government made available was 1.4 billion Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
In 2020-2022 academic year, it again declined to 51%, meaning 49% of the money has not been made available. In nominal, the government projected to have 1.9 billion, and only 1 billion was made available for the policy implementation. So clearly, if you projected to give this X amount and you are not making it available, we shouldn't be surprised that food shortages are occurring in our school. We shouldn't be surprised because the money you projected, you know that ideally I should spend this amount on this number of pupils or students in the school to be able to ensure the effective implementation of the policy. By the end of the day, you have not made the money available. So clearly, the caterers in the schools will not be happy. The food suppliers will not be happy because you are owing them. They will not be able to supply you food, and you continue to have issue of food inadequacy in the school. So for me, David, it's only about money issue. If we are able to solve the budget credibility issue of this senior high school policy, we would have solved the issue of food challenges in our school.
Now, Divine, the thing is that increasing school enrollment and attendance, as well as retention of students in school, was one of the main objectives of this program. Has it even achieved those ends? Not to even talk of the challenges that we're experiencing, but did we at any point in time notice that we are actually successfully increasing enrollment in school, attendance and retention of students in school? And what's the effect of what we're experiencing now having on those numbers?
In terms of enrollment, yes, we have seen a surge in enrollment. In fact, if you look at the last 6 years, the average enrollment of secondary school in the last year before the implementation of Christian high school, it was 260,000. And then when the Christian high school came in, if you look at the last 6 years of its implementation, average annual enrollment was about 400,000. So from 260,000 annual enrollment average has increased to about 400,000. So clearly, the policy has seen a surge in enrollment, and it must come with increase in financial allocation. And the only way to do that is to ensure that what you have allocated, you have actually given the full amount. Number one is actually about two things. If you allocate to spend 2 billion on the policy, you have to allocate the 2 billion in entirety. And number two, you have to allocate or release the fund to the Ministry of Education on time. In fact, if you look at the 2024, the amount government wants to spend on the Christian high school policy, it's late. Although government has not even released the full amount, it has even delayed. We were almost at the middle of the year before the first tranche actually went to the schools or to the Ministry of Education for the policy implementation. So number one, there's inadequacy when it comes to the amount being budgeted for, and number two, budget credibility of what actually was allocated in the policy declining, and number three, we do not release the money on time to the Ministry of Education to implement the policy. So these are the systemic issues, and there's nothing government can do aside addressing the liquidity issue. If government addresses the liquidity issue today, then we won't be talking about this issue of food being inadequate or the quality not being good in our schools. Yeah.
Divine, now this is not the first time we are hearing about arrears from the school feeding program, but this year, again, the conversation has come up. Have there been any negotiations as to when the monies are going to be paid, and do you have details as to how much or what the timelines are?
I don't get you, please, if you want to come again.
So I'm saying that this is not the first time this conversation is coming up with regard to the arrears being owed caterers on the school feeding program. And again, the conversation has come up this year. Are you privy to any information about when the arrears are going to be cleared, and if you have timelines?
Oh, okay, all right. There's no information at our end on when government to clear these arrears. There's no information at our end. And for us, we in doubt this will be addressed as early as possible, because even if it takes government actually almost half of the year to release first tranche of the 2023-2024 academic year money for the policy implementation, then it is actually a clear indication that government is going to hold these service providers, food service providers, even more beyond what we are seeing. So either this would have been addressed as early as possible. But for me, even if you do not have the money, the best thing to do is to continue to engage them frequently and be giving the assurance, and an assurance that will be backed by action, not just empty assurances, something that is feasible. But at times also, and the problem actually goes beyond Ministry of Education and mostly actually lies on the doorstep of Ministry of Finance. It is the Ministry of Finance that actually places it in the budget that this is what I'm going to give to the policy. So it is their responsibility to ensure that the full amount is released. And releasing the money also from their end to the Ministry of Education is also their responsibility. Ministry of Education cannot go and dip their hand into the consolidated fund and take the money. It is the responsibility of the Finance Ministry to release the money on time. So for me, it is mostly whatever we are talking about is actually the function of Ministry of Finance. They hold the public purse, and they would have to be engaging the Ministry of Education so that they can also engage the service provider. But there is this lack of synchrony between Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Education. They are not working in sync, such that an assurance from Ministry of Finance to Ministry of Education would have been back with action, such that the Ministry of Education will also communicate the same thing to service providers, so the service provider will also be at ease and continue to provide their services, knowing very well that the money is going to come on this particular timeline. But there's that lack of this, or there's presence of this gap. So you don't see the Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Education working closely, and therefore Ministry of Education at times will not even be privy to when the money is going to come into that covers for them to go and promise the service providers. So at times they'll give promises to the service provider, but actually it is not that it is coming from Ministry of Finance, and therefore they are likely to default on their promise because they cannot go and take the money from the Ministry of Finance. So for me, it's very important that Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Finance actually work in sync, that timelines can be agreed on and that can be communicated to service providers. To some extent, we would have addressed the issue. Service providers would have known that, yes, if I'm given this timeline and it is an assurance from the two ministries, then there will be some level of commitment to it. But if it is just an assurance from Ministry of Education and Ministry of Finance is not aware of that assurance to service providers, and then the time comes for the money to be paid, Ministry of Finance has not released the money, then Ministry of Education will be seen as the one giving the empty promises when they have defaulted again. So it's very important that we address that gap as well.
Right. The mid-year budget review is going to be read tomorrow, being July 12th or 15th. Are you expecting that you hear something from the arrears being read in the budget?
Yes, it's important that the Finance Ministry actually takes the media budget to respond to some of the critical financial issues in our education space, not just the face in our high school. The capitation grant to basic education is very critical that we know the releasing of that fund also actually delayed if it has even been released at all. It's very important that government takes steps actually to indicate clearly when that will be released before we are almost at the end of the academic year. Basic schools will be vacating very soon, and likewise for secondary school. And if almost at the end of the academic year for basic schools, they have still not cared much about the capitation grant, it's not sufficient. So for me, the media budget, my expectation is even more about the capitation grant to basic schools. For senior high schools, we know they have released something to them so far. For me, it's more about the basic capitation grant to basic schools.
All right. Thank you very much for speaking with us, Divine.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot said, but it looks like there's no hope.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's no hope. I'm not sure if it is entirely that, gloomy, but I think that we need to put pressure on government to dig deep and pull out resources, because we seem to have money for things we want to do, every time there's a sing-song situation where you're saying there's no money, there's no money, there's no money,
we're able to find money for other things.
It won't be long. Something will come, and you will find us able to dig deep and pull out money, to allot to certain things. So we see this, and I think that it's important for us to emphasize that our children should be our priority. Okay, it's an investment into your future. But I think that sometimes, too, the way we function, we look at the future as, let it deal with it. It will deal with itself when it comes. Let's wait.
The preparations we make now is what the preparations we make now is what we are going to be seeing the results of in the future. Is a case of like garbage in, garbage out. So if you are saying that let the future take care of itself, and we are not paying any attention to it, there's no proper planning, like no thought is being put into it. What kind of future leaders are we expecting to have? Yes. What kind of future leaders are we expecting? What kind of future leaders are we grooming in the near 5, 10, 20 years to come? And these are people that will be occupying national positions, vying for presidential, ministerial positions, and all of that. We need to be very intentional about our children. Because
you know what I'm thinking about? If the person had malnutrition and was deficient in the right vitamins and the right minerals and all that, and then they rise up to positions of political leadership, what quality are they going to give us at the end of the day? You know, so hey, listen, it's a serious issue. Okay, it's a very serious issue, and we need for government to be serious about what it is that we are doing. You know, how it is that we are managing the affairs of this nation. All right, it's not enough to be thinking this year or thinking next year. Let's be thinking as government. Let's be thinking 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. What does it mean? What are the decisions we're taking today? You know, doing to what's happening down the road in the future. You can't say that. Well, I won't be there. No, listen, your children will be there. Your grandchildren will be there, you know, and your decisions will be borne by them. You know, the effects of your decisions will be borne by them. Do you see the thing? And so for me, I think it's so important for us to deal with this issue. Now, if you're not bringing enough money to the table, okay, to give your, first of all, you're depriving the caterers of what it is that they need to be able to provide meals. You can't hold them accountable for the quality of food that they deliver. Do you see that thing? You can't. So sort out the money issue first. And then you can also now have the gumption to take them on as far as the quality of food is concerned. I think it's so important. And it's really basic. I mean, provide money. You stepped into this intervention to say, we're going to be doing this as a government. No problem. We like it. We laud you for it. But let's follow through and make sure that every year we allot the money that we put in the budget and we actually make it available so that all caterers are paid. And then we can also hold them to account to make sure that the quality of the food, not, you know how we do these things where we say, minister is coming today, so make sure that today your food is good quality because you will come to do inspection. No, unannounced visits, random visits. What do they call that thing? They say mystery shopping kind of thing, right? Yeah, send people, let them taste the food, bring the food. Which different schools, different areas, go and check. Let's find out what it is our children are eating. You see, but you see, again, if you have not paid the money, you can't hold the caterers accountable. So go and pay the money.
You can't do that. And you see, this is the videos we've seen so far. We've just seen maybe rice. And I'm thinking about the other meals they prepare for them. Say maybe if it's wache or banku, how quality is the food? If it's wache, you need beans and rice to put the food together, stew and shito to actually make. Before you even think about the protein or the sides that come to make the food a whole balanced diet or a full meal. And you saw the stew that was in the container being dished onto the rice. I don't know if I should call it soup or stew.
Looks scary, man.
Yes, with no protein at all. Like, this is bad. This is bad. If you visit these schools and for somebody in your position, you can't taste this meal or these meals and enjoy it, I'm not sure we should be giving this to our children because they deserve better. They really do deserve better. And some of these children actually are able to go to school because of these meals, because there's poverty at home that they are not even able to feed 3 times a day or to get 3 square meals. Yes. So if I know that I'm a child and I know that if I go to school today, I'll get food. Of course, that's even motivation enough to step into the classroom to acquire education. And at the end of the day, this is what they get out of their meals. It's appalling. It's bad.
We need to do better.
We really need to do better.